You know, as far as marketing goes, or I'm gonna say social media marketing goes, it's clear that Ryan Garcia is probably the top dog in boxing. You know, his social media on Instagram and Twitter is just ridiculous. I think he's like 7 to 8 million on Twitter, and I'm pretty sure it's something like that on Instagram as well. So you got to take your hat off to him for that. Clearly, he's made his mark on social media, but a lot of people starting to hate this dude, man. A lot of people, and you can kind of understand why. Now, after the fight, he said congrats. He said congrats to Haney, but it was definitely just a bland fight. Anyways, I'll just say, you know who I want after Fortuna. Let them have their rematch. Laugh out loud. Absolutely NyQuil type of performance. Now, he's talking about he wants to fight Tank Davis next, and that's cool. But let's really be honest. Truth be told, Tank Davis really has no business fighting Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia has fought absolutely nobody. I'm going to say it again. Ryan Garcia has fought absolutely nobody. And if he fights Fortuna, guess what? Fortuna will be the most decorated and the most decorated fighter Ryan has fought, and he will also be the best quality fighter Ron has fought. Yeah, I know people say, well, hey, fight doctor. Didn't he fight Luke Campbell? Man, Luke Campbell wasn't nothing but a two-time contender. I don't want to hear nothing about no medals in the Olympics or what he did in the amateurs. I'm talking pros. I could care less about the amateurs. Yes, he gave Linares a decent fight. Got dropped a couple times. Whatever. Yes, he gave Lomachenko a decent fight, but really got whooped. But whatever. But at the end of the day, he ain't nothing but a two-time contender. Javier Fortuna, if I'm not mistaken, is a two-division champion. So that'll be his toughest fight. But that's one fight. Two if you count Luke Campbell. But after the end of the day, this boy has done nothing, and he stay running his mouth. He's always critiquing. You talking about a boring performance? That Tagoo fight was a boring performance. That was a snooze fest. That was NyQuil. That was a sledgehammer upside your head. I mean, that fight was boring. But the funny thing about all of this is he had the opportunity to fight Devin Haney for that WBC title over a year ago. He was Devin Haney's mandatory. I can't remember who it was Devin Haney beat. I want to say Linares, or who it might have even been before the Linares fight. But Devin Haney called Ryan Garcia out, I believe, after his fight and said, what's up? You know, you my mandatory, let's get it on. Ryan Garcia, nothing. Okay? Then after that, they lined up, the WBC lined up him and Fortuna. That was like, they're fighting now. That was supposed to be a year ago. Nothing. Right? Then JoJo Diaz, same thing. Hey, let's have him and JoJo Diaz fight. And the winner of that become the mandatory for Devin Haney again. And what happened? Matter of fact, speaking of JoJo Diaz, during another tweet that Ryan put out there taking a shot at Devin Haney and at Kambosos saying boring. Well, JoJo Diaz said, what's boring is you fighting bums and people are already beat. Now, let's be honest. Right now, considering, you know, people fighting and stuff like that, it's really two fights out there that make sense for Ryan Garcia. One is Isak Cruz, which at this point it doesn't look like that. Well, we know that fight isn't going to happen. And some people are saying that Ryan ducked Cruz. Other people saying the pit bull ducked him. Ron is very adamant about the fact that they made him offers and it was turned down. So who knows who ducked who. But that was a fight that a lot of people really wanted to see. I know the people that support my channel really would have liked to see that fight go down. I think the fight that probably made even more sense, considering if you're going to fight Fortuna, why not fight the guy that beat Fortuna in JoJo Diaz, who also was the last person that Devin Haney fought outside of Kambosos. So that could have been like a measuring stick. But you can say the same thing about the Cruz fight, because that'll give you some type of idea of where Ron might stand fighting Tank Davis. But to me, that's garbage, because triangle theories don't really work in boxing. But a lot of people like to see stuff like that regardless. But no JoJo Diaz, and JoJo Diaz is convinced Ryan Garcia is ducking and dodging him. But hey, Ryan didn't stop there. Let's see what else Ryan Garcia had to say last night on Twitter. Matter of fact, somebody should have took the wine bottle out of Ryan Garcia's head, because I'm pretty convinced that Ryan was doing a little bit of drinking last night. But let's see what else he had to say. Now, Ryan jumped out there and said, considering that it's an undisputed fight, very underwhelming, and no urgency by either man, edge to Kambosos.
What?
Now, maybe you didn't like the particular style that was fought. Devin came in there to box, and Kambosos, I guess, did what he could to try to, cut off the ring and come forward. But what really blows my mind, you said no urgency by either man, whatever, but you said edge to Kambosos. What? Edge to Kambosos? How in the world did you matter of fact, in the whole Twitter universe, and you could throw IG and Facebook on there as well, I don't think anybody said that Kambosos won that fight. If you can show me somebody that said George Kambosos fought and won that fight last night outside of maybe his mama or daddy, I would be stunned. But you had to be the first one to do it. You had to be the guy to say, hey, I think that Devin Haney lost to George Kambosos. Really? Okay, well, let's see the reaction you got out of that. Let's see who had something to say about that. Because clearly he must have been trying to get a reaction out of somebody. Where Shakur Stevenson jumped out there and said he's out of his mind. And clearly, like I said, Ryan must have been doing some drinking last night. But Andre Ward was more politically correct about it. He said two great boxers won tonight, and real Devin Haney and cool boy Steph. You know what? I didn't even get to see Fulton fight last night. I'm going to have to double back and watch that. Then he said the style that gets disrespected the most in boxing proved to be too much. Great boxers do what they do best, making hard situations look easy. Now, clearly, that's something Ryan Garcia must not know about. Maybe his boxing IQ is lacking, but the name of the game is to hit and not get hit, not knock a you-know-what out. The game, the name of the game is to win however you got to win. It doesn't necessarily mean you got to go out there and knock somebody out. It doesn't necessarily mean you got to stand toe-to-toe and slug it out with somebody. It is what you call a sweet science to boxing. Everybody don't like it, but guess what? That's the most effective style in boxing. The best boxers tend to win. Now, anybody can win a fight if you just stand in there and just go toe-to-toe and slug it out. But that's called a lack of skill. 9 times out of 10, you put somebody with better footwork, better head movement, and a higher IQ in the ring. With anybody that's a slugger, they tend to lose. So to even sit there and be like, that's disrespectful. That fight wasn't disrespectful. That fight was not a snooze fest. That was very disrespectful to say that what we saw was a master class boxer at work. We saw somebody getting dissected last night. Shout out to George Kambosos. He did what he had to do and what he could do. But at the end of the day, Devin Haney is what you would consider a master boxer. So, but hey, Ryan didn't stop there. He had to keep going. let's see what else Ryan had to say. He just wouldn't stop. So now at this point, I guess he wanted to bring Tank in the middle of it. So he was, he puts it out there at Gervonta. You watching this stuff? When we fight, don't let it be like this. Now I guess he's trying to say Tank is gonna run from him or whatnot. Now first of all, you still got to get past a Javier Fortuna, which I do believe he will beat Javier, and I feel like if he probably would knock Javier out, I'll say within 3 or 4 rounds. Now if he don't do that, I think the fight could wind up getting tough because I believe Ryan slows down a little bit midway through the fight. I do believe he fades a little bit. I don't think his punches have the same sting at the end of the fight as they do at the beginning of the fight. So if you don't get Fortuna out of there in the early to mid rounds, you might be in a long fight that you could possibly lose because, believe it or not, like I said before, we haven't seen you really fight anybody that's worthy of even talking about outside of, Luke 2 Live Crew Campbell, which it ain't no knock at him, but like I said, he ain't exactly a world beater. Not far as being beating champions anyway or becoming a champion, so we'll have to see how that play out. But let's say you do get past Gervonta. You ain't been in the ring with nobody even close to that caliber. So anyway, but Tank Davis did respond to Ryan Garcia. And Tank Davis's response was short and sweet. Shut the F up. And believe it or not, I believe Tank expressed the sentiment of most people that saw all these tweets. Be quiet. Shut up. Like, how come you just couldn't put out there a congratulations, champ, hope to see you in the ring soon? Something like that. All of this mess that he was tweeting last night wasn't even worth tweeting. He could have easily just said, like I said, congratulations, Devin, because at one point in time, he said him and Devin were friends. If you go look last year, he was saying him and Devin were friends. Why not just congratulate the man? Why you got to take shots at him? Just give him your congratulations and go on about your business. But no, he spent most of the night taking shots at the dude, and I think people just got fed up of it. But like I said, it's real easy to see why, yeah, I get it, you got fans, but it's real easy to see why his popularity is falling with a lot of boxing fans as well. And it's not because Ryan can't fight, but it's because, number one, you pulled out of what could have been some decent size and or big fights, and because you just haven't done anything to be running your mouth. You haven't. Like I said, you calling this a snooze fest, but guess what? Your last fight was worse than this, and it was against a nobody. Nobody knew who Tagu was. At least Devin Haney was fighting a champion. Who did you fight? Nobody knew that guy. Honestly, that Tagu fight was a waste of time. It was a waste of time. So, like I said, I'm actually a Ryan Garcia fan. You probably couldn't tell by the way I'm talking. But at the end of the day, it's because I want to see him fight somebody. And to be honest with you, no, I don't think he deserved to fight any other champions or anybody holding a belt. Or I don't think he deserved to fight a Lomachenko. I don't think he deserved to fight a Teofimo Lopez, whether it was at 130 or 140. I don't think he deserved the right to fight Tank Davis or Devin Haney. If that would be the case, the fight would basically be handed to him. I don't mind the Fortuna fight. I don't mind Isaac Cruz fight. I don't mind a Jojo Diaz fight. Heck, but to be honest with you, I think the person he really should wind up fighting is Rolly Romero. That, to me, that puts him about where he should be at, a Rolly Romero. Rolly, heck, at least Rolly can say he fought Tank and looked halfway decent in it. But I think that would be the perfect fight for him. Once Rolly, maybe Rolly need to get another fight to get his confidence back up. But to me, that's about where Ryan should be at, because he hasn't done anything. Nothing at all. The names I named out, to me, that's about where Ryan should be. Contender, yes. Top contender, no. Top 10, yes. Top 3 or mandatory for anybody belt, no. Because he really ain't beat nobody to be worthy of a mandatory. I'm sorry. That's my thoughts on it. And that's pretty much all I got this Head Busting Boxing's on. Fight Doctor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Hit me up in the comment section and let me know, is Ryan the biggest hater in boxing? Because it's starting to look that way. Like he just jumps out there and say ridiculous stuff about boxers who he doesn't even deserve to be speaking of, because he hasn't done anything close to the people he's put himself in line with. The only person I could think of that might be a bigger hater than Ryan Garcia is Rolly Romero. And it's funny, him and Rolly aren't beefing anymore. If you haven't noticed that, they're actually halfway cool now, and that's why Ryan actually supported Rolly in his fight against Tank. If you go look back, at one point in time, he was saying Tank Davis would destroy Rolly. Then all of a sudden, you start hearing, oh, he believed Rolly got a chance. Then all of a sudden, it went from that to he actually bet $20,000 against Errol Spence that Tank would lose that fight, which was ridiculous. But like I said, that's the only person I could think of that's just a bigger hater is Ryan Garcia, and that's Rolly Romero. And that's pretty much all I got this Head Busting Boxes on. Fight Doctor. I am out.